So this is an artist called James Mackay, who lives in Leeds, who does graphic novels, and he's kind of the man who draws the future, and he tries to draw the future as it could be if we did everything that we could possibly do. So the one on the left is the most biodiverse future imaginable. If we gave our cities over to wildlife and to nature, what would it actually be like? How could that be? And then the other one is, what would it be like if we gave over huge amounts of our cities to growing food? How would it be to live in a street that was full of food being growing, and kids walk to school through down streets with food being grown? If that was a completely part of our culture, food grew up the sides of buildings, it grew on balconies, and and that was the fabric of our cities. It's entirely possible. At the moment, we give so much of the land in our cities over to cars. In Los Angeles, 2/3 of the surface area of Los Angeles is dedicated to cars. And as we're seeing now a big push in lots and lots of cities to try and have less cars in cities, that makes up a lot of space for something to happen. Already in Paris, the mayor of Paris, who's been reducing the number of cars in Paris, is finding there are so many underground car parks in Paris, they just don't know what to do with them all. So they're using them to grow mushrooms and grow salads and store wine and all sorts of different stuff. So we can be looking at the spaces in our cities in very different ways. There's a poet who once said, "The future must enter into you a long time before it happens." And that's what I like to do, that time machine exercise with groups. And images like this allow the future to sort of arrive in us first and make so much more likely that we're going to go there. If we need to, if we're going to go on holiday somewhere, a really enticing brochure is going to make it far more likely than we're going to go there than if someone just tells us a story about the most horrendous holiday they had there once. Part of why this matters as well is that actually being optimistic about the future is really good for you, is really good for your health. So people who are optimists, research shows that people who are optimists live longer. People who are optimists tend to be healthier. And what fear does when we're really scared about the future is that the part of our brain, which is what we need to be imaginative, shrinks. And when that happens, we lose that sense that the future could be something else. And the beautiful thing for me is, you might be sitting there thinking, yeah, well, Rob, this is all very nice, but actually, that's not how the world works. And what I'd like to share with you is that I get to visit loads and loads of places where amazing things are happening. And this kind of future that's in those drawings is already being built in lots of different places. And this is a place that I visited in France called Montsartou, which is a place in the south of France, where in France, the government said 20% of all the food in schools should be organic. And in Montsartou, they said, well, if 20% is better than 0%, why are we stopping at 20%? Shouldn't it be 100%? So if you went to school in Montsartou, 100% of all the food in the schools is now organic food, and 70% of it is grown in this garden on the edge of the town, where the local government bought this land. It was going to be built with houses, and they bought the land and turned it into a garden. I think there's another picture of that as well.
There is indeed.
Showing the food being grown. And it was amazing. Yeah, there we go. So they grew the biggest chard I've ever seen. And I was so excited about it. And for me, this is something where if we can think about the future in a way that's optimistic and practical and with a sense of courage and bravery that we can reimagine stuff, solutions like this are a win-win-win-win-win-win solution. They're good for public health. They're good for mental health. They're good for bees and butterflies and wildlife. They're good for the local economy. They found in the school that it started to change the behavior of families at the school. They started to buy more local produce, buy more organic produce. The kids were involved in cooking the food. This could happen absolutely everywhere. There's really no reason why we have to have the sort of thing that we have at the moment in a lot of schools. We could be looking at a completely different system. Okay, can I have the next thing?
You can indeed. There's a lot of people saying, wow, really appreciating what you're saying.
Yeah, good. Fabulous. For me, I've spent years going around with this kind of vision in my head about how the future could be. And to actually go somewhere where it's already happening, I always find really emotional. I was really moved being there. It was extraordinary.